Now is recording. Good. Okay. As we know, this term we are studying the immune system. The immune system unit has 3 lessons: non-infectious disease, the immune system, and the infectious disease. Let's share. Okay. Let's start with infectious diseases. What is the infectious disease? The infectious disease is a disease that caused by pathogen when it's passed from one organism to another. The infectious disease is a disease caused by pathogen passed from one organism to another. So what is the pathogen? Someone who will ask, what is the pathogen? Pathogen is the cause of disease. Could be virus, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, or parasites. So the pathogen is the cause of disease, which may be viruses, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, or parasites. Are all types of bacteria or viruses are pathogens? No. Some types of bacteria are not pathogen, like bacteria which live in the intestinal and reproductive tracts. Okay, the beneficial bacteria which live on the skin, shafts, and hair follicle. These organisms keep pathogens from thriving and multiplying on body. So they are protecting our bodies. The bacteria which live on the skin, bacteria in the intestinal, help in the digestion of food. So many types doesn't cause infectious disease. Our bodies benefits from organisms such as bacteria, protozoans. Okay, so the infectious disease is a disease that caused by pathogen is passed from one organism to another. Pathogen is the cause of disease, maybe viruses, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, parasites. Not all bacteria or not all protozoans are pathogen. Some of them are beneficial for our bodies. So, how did we know the infectious disease, or how did we know that the pathogen can pass the disease from one organism to another? The scientists called Kochs established experimental steps known as Koch postulates. Koch postulates are very important. Everyone has to know them. They are four postulates to demonstrate the transmission of pathogen from one organism to another. So, what are these postulates? Let's check. Number one, the pathogen should be found in thick organism. Okay. Number two, the pathogen must be isolated and grown in lab in pure culture. When purified, after purification, pathogen placed into new host, healthy host. Okay. Then the new host will get same disease that infected the original host. Okay, the injected pathogen isolated from the second host should be identical to the original pathogen. Okay. Again, the four postulates of Koch's postulates: pathogen should be found in sick organisms, the pathogen will be isolated. Second step, pathogen will be isolated and grown in lab. Okay, we will make culture in the lab, in the laboratory, to grow the pathogen which is isolated from the sick organism. Okay, now the isolated pathogen grown in lab. We will make purification, okay, and place the pathogen in new host, which is healthy host, not infected host. After some time, we will notice the same symptoms appear on the new host. Okay, same disease as the original host or original disease. The injected pathogen isolated from the second host should be identical. Okay, we will make isolation again from the new host, and we will notice that the isolated pathogen from the new host is identical as the original pathogen. Okay, so these 4 postulates are very important. Everyone has to know. Every exam will include the question or more about the cautious postulates. Okay, so they are very, very important. 1 minute. One, two, three, 4. How did Robert Koch found the or established his postulates? He was studying the anthrax. Anthrax is a deadly disease, affects on cattle, sheep, and people also. Okay, he isolated the bacteria from the blood of the cattle and make culture in the laboratory. After growing the bacteria in the laboratory, he injected the bacteria in the healthy cattle to check. He found that these animals developed the disease anthrax as the infected original host. He isolated the bacteria from the blood of these animals. He grew again in the laboratory. The characteristics of 2 sets were identical. The first set and the second set. Okay, so the indication, same type of bacteria caused the illness in both sets of cattle. Okay, same type of bacteria, which means that pathogen transmitted or passed from the first host to the second host. Okay, so first step, he isolated the anthrax from the sick cattle and make growth in lab, then inject the isolated pathogen to the new host, healthy host. He found that the new host get the same disease, anthrax. Okay, here you can find Koch's demonstrated that the bacteria originally isolated were the cause of anthrax. Okay, so the Koch's postulates are very important. 4 postulates. Here we can find questions about the postulates. Which scientist established a method for determining whether microorganisms cause specific disease? Of course, Koch. Okay. Which of these involves 4 steps in Koch's postulates? The pathogen in culture has same characteristics as original pathogen. Okay, the pathogen in culture, the new culture, I mean, has the same characteristics as original pathogen, which cause the disease. Okay, let's move. Okay, now we identify the infectious disease. We explained Koch's postulates. Now we need to know how does disease spread. The spread of disease has many ways. Okay, so what is related to disease? We can see here large number of microorganisms. The microorganism, it means very little organisms in size, coexist with humans. Only few cause disease. So not all microorganisms cause disease, as we said before, like the bacteria in the intestinal and the bacteria on the outer skin. Okay, they are beneficial for humans. Some of them with pathogen cause mild disease, such as cold. Cold is mild disease. Others cause serious disease, such as or like meningitis. Okay, meningitis is very serious disease. Very serious disease, but cold is mild disease. So how pathogens spread? Again, the main question, how pathogens spread? Two things related to pathogens. First one is reservoir. Reservoir is the source of pathogen. Okay, so what is the reservoir? Is the source of pathogen. Pathogen may be human, maybe animal, or other sources like bacteria, water, and food. Other thing, the transmission. Transmission may be direct contact, indirect contact, and the indirect contact has two ways also, indirect by air or indirect by objects. We will explain later. Or vectors. Vectors like insects or ticks, which transmit the pathogen. Okay, so the reservoir is the source of disease, maybe human, animal, or other source like bacteria, water, food, any other. Or as a transmission by direct contact, when infected pathogen has direct contact with non-infected pathogen. The infected organism has direct contact with non-infected organism. Indirect contact may be by air or objects, and vectors, which is insects. Okay, great. So we will start with human reservoirs. Humans are the main reservoir for pathogens that affect humans. Again, this is very important note. Humans are the main reservoir for pathogens that affect humans. Humans reservoir pass the pathogen directly or indirectly to other humans. Okay. How come? We can see here if the infected human sneeze or cough. Through cough or sneeze, he can transmit the disease to healthy human or by direct contact. Okay. If infected human touches a healthy human or non-infected human, he can pass the disease through this contact. That's why the human may pass the pathogen by directly or indirectly. Okay. In some cases, the pathogens or many pathogens can pass from human to other humans before the disease disease symptoms appear. Okay. In this case, the infected person who can transmit the pathogen to another human without symptoms or symptom-free called carrier. Carrier is very important. So what's carrier? Carrier is the individual, okay, is a human that is symptom-free. What is symptom-free? It means no symptoms appear on the person yet. Okay, no symptoms appear on the person yet. And in this case, he can pass the pathogen to another human or healthy human. Okay, that's serious. That's serious, yes. Second type of reservoir, animal reservoirs. What are the animal reservoir? It means a source of pathogen, like influenza, like rabies. Influenza, rabies, maybe. Influenza has many types like swine swine flu, bird flu. Okay, rabies. I think all of us heard about rabies before. Rabies found in many wild animals like fox, skunks, bats, dogs. Okay, these animals can pass the rabies disease. Rabies disease is a serious, very serious disease which affects the nervous system and can lead to death. Okay. So we explained the human reservoirs, animal reservoirs, and last other reservoirs, as we said before, like soil, maybe water, maybe food. Okay, all these may be source of pathogens, which called other types of reservoirs, which means not animal and not human. Not animal, not human. Yes. Example about the pathogen which is transmitted by other reservoirs like tetanus. Tetanus bacteria is a serious bacteria, okay, which affect nervous system also. Okay, so the tetanus bacteria is a very serious bacteria which affect the nervous system. How or the way of spread? The tetanus bacteria infect the deep wound in the body. It's found in the soil, can pass to the deep wound in the body, affect the nervous system, lead to serious disease. Okay. Also, note about the tetanus. It was the major cause of death in wars before the development of antibiotics and vaccinations. Okay. The tetanus was the main or major cause of disease during the wars before the development of antibiotics and vaccination. Okay. Also, contaminated water, contaminated food may be source of pathogen. That's why we have check our food which we are eating. We have check the water which we are drinking. It's very important because any infected food, any infected water can pass diseases to us. Okay. Here's the questions. What was the main purpose of sewage treatment of planting? For safe disposal of human feces, which prevents the contamination of water by pathogens. Okay, contaminated food, contact with humans or insects such as flies. Oh, this table is very important. Okay, you have to study it well. What is this table? It explains or it shows the human infectious disease and the cause of disease and the affected organ and how disease is spread. That's why it's very important. The disease we have, for me, I can make it simple for you. You have to know the cause. 3 bacteria. 1, 2, 3. 4 viruses. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 protozoan. 1, 2, 1 fungus. Okay. So to make this table simple, you can divide it into according to the pathogen. 3 bacteria, 4 viruses, 2 protozoan, and 1 fungus. So the first bacteria cause tetanus. Tetanus, we just stated now, affect nervous system. So the cause is bacteria. Disease is tetanus. Cause bacteria. The affected organ, nervous system. How disease is spread? Course, soil in deep puncture 1. Okay, soil in deep puncture 1. Second bacteria, strep throat, Streptococcus throat. Cause disease, the disease called strep throat. Affected organ is respiratory system. how disease is spread, droplets or direct contact. Okay, droplets or direct contact. If infected person sneeze or cough, they release the droplets, which carry the pathogen or bacteria, can pass to healthy human and cause the disease. So Lyme disease, third bacteria. The disease is Lyme, cause bacteria, affected organ, skeletal and nervous systems. Okay, it affect on skeletal and nervous system. How disease is spread? Spread by vector. Okay, the Lyme disease spread by vector. Now the viruses like chickenpox, which affect on skin. Okay, I think most of us know chickenpox caused by virus and affect on skin. How can it spread or how is disease spread? By droplets or direct contact. Rabies, also we studied now, affected on nervous system, transmitted or spread by animal bites. Influenza, all of us know influenza is the flu, affected on respiratory system, spread by droplets or direct contact. The fourth virus, the cause disease called hepatitis B. Hepatitis B affect on liver. Okay. Hepatitis has many types like hepatitis A, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, E, D. Okay, but the only one we need to know in this table is hepatitis B. Hepatitis B affect on liver. Okay, spread by direct contact with exchange of body fluids. Okay, hepatitis B is really serious disease. Serious disease spread by exchange of body fluids. Okay, blood, saliva, other fluids. So the protozoans, the disease is Giardia, caused affect the organ is digestive tract, spread by contaminated water. Malaria, caused by protozoan Plasmodium, effect on blood and liver. Okay, has two circles, blood and liver, and spread by vector called mosquito. The only fungus we need to know, the athlete's food. Okay, effect on skin by spread by direct contact or contaminated objects. Direct contact or contaminated objects. Again, this table is very important. You need to study it well. Memorize 3 bacteria, 4 viruses, 2 protozoan, and 1 fungus. Okay. Here you maybe like that. Bacteria, viruses, protozoan, and fungus. Okay. Let's check this question. Bacteria produce potent toxin that cause spasm in the voluntary muscle, tetanus. We'll study it now. Identify types of disease. 1 could get from vector, common cold, no. Infectious mononucleosis, no. Giardia, no. Lyme disease is the one caused by vector. Here we can check. This is Lyme disease caused or spread by vectors. West Nile virus is an example of disease which is spread by vectors. Which of the following disease is caused by vector? Tetanus, rabies, Lyme, athlete's foot, fourth Lyme disease. Which organ is affected as a result of hepatitis B? Liver. You can check here. Hepatitis B effect on liver. Okay, let's move. Again, same. same questions, same table. Which of the following human body systems and organs does the Giardia affect? Of course, digestive tract. Which of the following human body systems and organs does the rabies virus affect? The nervous system. Rabies on nervous system. Giardia, digestive tract. Okay, Giardia by protozoan, digestive tract. Rabies here caused by virus effect on nervous system. Okay, let's move to the transmission of pathogens. How does pathogens transmitted? As we said before, maybe by direct contact, indirect contact, as to ways indirect by air, or indirect by objects. Okay, last by vectors. So the transmission of pathogen may be by direct contact, indirect by air, or indirect by objects. Okay, then vectors, which is insects or ticks. You can see here vectors. Certain disease can transmitted by vectors. The most common vectors are arthropods. The most common vectors are arthropods, which include biting insect, okay, such as mosquitoes and ticks. Yeah. Lyme disease and malaria caused by vectors, also Zika virus caused by vectors. Okay, so examples for vectors or disease caused by vectors: Lyme disease, malaria, and Zika virus. Okay, let's check again. Here, an example for direct contact. If someone or if some infected person touch non-infected person, the disease passed from the infected to non-infected. Okay, direct contact with other humans, major modes of transmission of pathogen. Okay, please focus on major modes of transmission. Major modes of transmission. Okay, it's very important. Note, simple but important. Okay, example here like infectious mononucleosis. Okay, called. These are examples for diseases spread from or by direct contact. Indirect, maybe by air. So indirect contact by air, or indirect by contaminated objects. When a person with an infectious disease sneeze or cough, pathogens can be passed along with the mucus droplets. Here, indirect by objects. Organisms survive on objects and are handled by humans. How to prevent spread of disease? Okay, if someone asks himself, how to prevent spread of disease? Yes, by cleaning of dishes, use detergents and hand washing. Okay. Number 4, vectors, as we said, like insects, mosquitoes, ticks. By biting, they are passing the disease from infected to non-infected person. Okay. So what are vectors? Definition of vectors. Vectors are common insects that carry transmit disease causing bacteria, virus, and parasites. The arthropods, which include biting insects such as mosquitoes and ticks, of course, malaria is an example for disease caused by vectors. Lyme disease is another example. of disease spread by vectors. Okay. West Nile virus also. West Nile virus by mosquitoes. All these Lyme, malaria, West Nile virus are examples for diseases caused by vectors or spread by vector. Okay, very important. Here are some questions. Which of the following common ways of transmission do the human acquire coronavirus through? Contacting infected humans. Okay. Contacting infected humans, as we said, as we know. The figure below shows various ways of disease transmission to humans. Which of the following diseases are transmitted through vectors? A, B, C, D, of course B, because there is mosquito. Lyme disease, malaria, and West Nile virus, just we said it, are diseases that are passed to humans by vectors, of course. Vectors. Once you see malaria, Lyme, or West Nile virus, of course, it's vectors. Rabies is found in domestic dogs and many wild animals, such as bats, fox, chunks, and raccoons. Rabies can be transmitted from animal reservoir. Okay, rabies transmitted from animal reservoir. Same questions, you can study it. It's too easy. About direct contact, indirect by air, indirect by object, by vectors. Same also, the figure below shows various ways of disease transmission to humans. Which of the following letters indicates the transmission of disease through direct contact? Through direct contact. The only one direct is D. Someone touch another someone. Okay. Okay. Human touch another human. Okay. Symptoms of disease. Okay. When are symptoms of disease received, or what are the symptoms? Maybe symptoms may be fever, cough, sneezing, itching, pain. All these are symptoms of disease. Symptoms for our bodies to know that the body is infected with something harm. Okay. The pathogen has invaded host cells like bacteria, and influenza has different mechanism. Okay, the bacteria and influenza in infecting the human bodies has different mechanisms. How come? We can see here the influenza. Okay, once enters the body, multiplies in the host cells, then leaves the host cells by two ways. How can they leave? The first way, exocytosis. Okay, so virus enters the host cell, multiplies, then leave by exocytosis, or the other way, causing the cell to burst. Same also, enter the cell, multiply, then cause cell to burst. After the two ways, first way and second way, they damage tissues or kill some cells. Okay, so now we have two pathogens, influenza, bacteria. They have different mechanisms in infecting our bodies. The influenza enter the host cell, multiplying, then leave by two mechanisms. Maybe exocytosis, maybe cause the cell to burst. After that, they cause damage to tissues or and kill cells. So what about the bacteria? The bacteria release harmful chemicals or toxins. Okay, So the bacteria enters the host, okay, reproduce and produce harmful toxins or chemicals. These chemicals or toxins carried throughout the body via bloodstream to and damage various parts of the body. Okay, so the bacteria enters the host cell, release chemicals or toxins. These chemicals carried by bloodstream then damage various parts of the body. As we said before, not all bacteria and protozoans are pathogens or harmful. Some of them beneficial to our bodies. Okay, but all viruses invade the bodies and live inside the host cell, causing die and cell damage. Then show symptoms on the host. Okay, symptoms like what? Examples like coughing, sneezing, pain, fever. Examples for bacteria like tetanus bacteria and botulism. Tetanus, we said it before, okay, contaminates the deep wound on the body. Release potent toxin. It's very serious toxin, okay, causes spasms in the voluntary muscles. Okay, botulism bacteria, the contaminated food. When someone eat or consume contaminated food with botulism bacteria, the bacteria release toxin which cause paralyzed nerves. So this question control, wait. Okay, if someone has a question. Which of the following is a true disease causing bacteria invade the body? Again, which of the following is a true when disease causing bacteria invade the body? Of course, produce harmful chemical or toxins. As we said, the bacteria has different pathway, not like virus. The virus enters the host cell, multiplies, then leaves the cell by exocytosis or cause the cell to burst. So bacteria different. Bacteria enters the host cell, produce toxins or harmful chemicals. Now let's move to patterns of disease. There are 3 patterns of disease. It's easy, but some students make confusion or get confusion about these patterns. Endemic, epidemic, and pandemic. What are the differences between endemic, epidemic, and pandemic? Okay. The endemic disease continually are found in a small amount within populations, such as cold, like flu, is called endemic disease. Okay, small amount within the population. So what? Epidemic is a large outbreak in an area or country. Okay, large outbreak in an area or country afflict many people. The pandemic widespread throughout the large region, such as country, continent, and entire globe. Okay, this picture show the difference between endemic, epidemic, and pandemic. Okay, you can see here small amounts in populations, it's endemic. Large outbreak in an area, it's epidemic. Once it's spread throughout the country or over the world, like coronavirus, it's called pandemic. Okay, so this question, which of the following describes the disease that are widespread throughout large region, such as a country, continent, or entire globe? Okay, continent, country, or entire globe, pandemic. The second question, which of the following is when disease affects a predictable number of people within a given population? It's endemic. Okay, predictable number of people within given population. It's endemic disease. Again, which of the following describes disease that are continually found in small numbers of incidents? Small number of incidents. It's endemic disease. Small number. Coronavirus here is a history about coronavirus. All of us know coronavirus. Which of the following describe coronavirus? Of course, it's pandemic disease. Okay, large outbreak through over the world, intercontinent, interglobe. Okay, let's move. Same about endemic, epidemic, pandemic, same questions, same pattern of questions. You have to study it well. Okay, so how can we treat and fight disease? Okay, how can we treat and fight disease? There are many ways, like antibiotics, chemical agents, antiviral drugs. Okay, these three ways, each type or each way of them treat specific treat specific diseases. Okay, let's start with antibiotics. What is the antibiotic? Antibiotic is substance that can kill or inhibit growth of other microorganisms. Okay, antibiotic is a substance or chemical substance released by microorganisms to kill or inhibit growth of other microorganisms, like penicillium. Penicillium is a fungus, released penicillin, erythromycin, neomycin, gentamicin. Okay. The chemical agents used to treat treatment of protozoan and fungal disease, antiviral drugs used to treat infection and influenza. Okay. What is the effect of widespread use of antibiotics? Many bacteria become resistant to particular antibiotics. So, the widespread of antibiotics leads to a serious issue, which is called antibiotic resistance. Antibiotic resistance is a very serious issue raised recently, okay, because of the abuse of using antibiotics. Okay, why? Because the natural selection. What is happening? Okay, the process by which microorganisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. If you use antibiotics when you don't need it, okay, the bacteria will adapt. Okay, the bacteria will adapt to the antibiotics. Okay, bacterial population might have traits that enable them to survive. Okay, and pass these traits to another, the second offspring. Okay, so after sometimes we will get offspring or generation of bacteria which are resistant to the antibiotics. Okay, recently we saw many cases, okay, which are resistant to all antibiotics in the market. Okay, and this really serious issue. The number of antibiotic resistant bacteria in a population can increase quickly. Here, as we said, penicillin, chemical substance created by penicillium. Okay, penicillin kill competing bacteria that grow in fungal food sources. So the penicillium release penicillin to competing other bacteria. Okay. Antibiotic resistance. Okay. All done. Staphylococcus. Staphylococcal disease acquired high density living condition infections can pneumonia or meningitis. Difficult to treat because bacteria resistance. Okay. So the staphylococcus are difficult to treatment. Why? Because of bacteria has resistance to many antibiotics. Okay. This chart shows the resistance of gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is a type of bacteria to penicillin. You can see here over the years, the resistance was almost zero in 1980. By 1990, it raised to almost 9 or 8%. Okay, and it's really serious issue. So resistance of gonorrhea to penicillin, it raised over the years. Because why? Because the abuse of using antibiotics. Okay. For anyone has to use antibiotics, he has to ask doctor first. Okay. You cannot go to the pharmacy and get antibiotics without prescription. Okay. First, you have to ask doctor. The doctor has to prescribe antibiotics for you or for anyone, because the abuse of antibiotics leads to resistance. Resistance is a serious issue. By times, no one knows what will happen. There's also the MRSA. What's MRSA? Methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus. This type of bacteria that common cause infections in hospitals and healthcare facilities. Okay, Streptococcus pneumonia, another bacterium that has become resistant to antibiotics. So we now know MRSA. MRSA, it's methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus and Streptococcus pneumonia. Okay, both of them are resistant or getting resistant to many antibiotics, which it makes hard to treat them or fight them. Here question, antibiotic released by penicillium is effective in treating disease caused by which pathogen? Of course, bacteria. Me, I like. Which of the following methods is used to treat and control infectious disease? All of above: antibiotics, chemical factors, antiviral drugs. Which of the following antibiotics is widespread? Is extracted from penicillium fungus? Of course, penicillin. Okay, these questions about the fighting and treating the disease. What happens when bacteria develop resistance to antibiotics? They can survive and grow. They can survive and grow despite the presence of antibiotics. Okay, which means that antibiotics will be useless. We hope not this happening. In the figure below, which of the following not considered not consistent with what do the data show about the effectiveness of the drugs penicillin in the treatment of infectious disease gonorrhea? The effectiveness of penicillin to kill this pathogen. Use the photo below to answer the question: which substance is secreted by fungal? Of course, penicillin. Okay, this penicillium fungus release penicillin. Also, questions about the fighting and treating bacteria. Same. Okay. Same questions. I cannot read all these questions. Okay, you can read it and solve it. If anyone needs this PDF, I can send it. In this occasion, I want to thank Ms. Maram Kalash, who prepared this presentation. It's very, very nice. Okay. The second lesson is immune system. Okay, as we said, this term we have to study infectious disease, the immune system, second lesson, and third one is non-infectious disease. Okay, we finished the infectious disease. Now we will start the immune system. The immune system has two types of immunity. Okay, the immune system has two types of immunity: the specific immunity and non-specific immunity. What's the difference between specific immunity and non-specific immunity? Okay, non-specific, it means the fighting all other foreign bodies. Okay, fighting of all other foreign bodies. But specific, it's effective against specific pathogens. Okay, the specific immunity effective against specific pathogens. We can check here. Non-specific immunity not aimed at specific pathogen. Okay, not to specific pathogen. Fight off all pathogens. Helps to prevent disease. Help to slow the progression of disease. It is the first line defense. First line of defense is non-specific. Okay, the specific immunity is the second line of defense and most effective immune response. The non-specific immunity has barriers, which is physical or chemical barrier. Okay, physical barriers or chemical barriers and non-specific responses. Okay, the third, the second line of defense is the specific immunity is specific response. So what are the barriers? Barriers, two types: physical barriers like skin, chemical barriers like tears, saliva, mucus. Okay, non-specific response like cellular defense, interferon, and inflammatory response. Okay, so the non-specific immunity is divided into two types. The first one, barriers; second one, the responses. It's called non-specific responses like cellular defense, interferon, and inflammatory response. The skin barrier. Okay, the skin has two mechanisms: the layers of dead skin cells. Okay, this is mechanism. The other mechanism, secretions like skin oils. Okay, both of them are included in the skin barrier, which is physical barrier. The layers of dead skin cells confer its covered layer of living cells, help protect against the invasion of microorganisms. Skin secretions like skin oils. Many of the bacteria that live symbiotically on the skin digest skin oils, produce acids again that inhibits the many pathogens. Okay, as we said before, there are beneficial bacteria live on outer skin. Okay, the skin oils or these bacteria digest the skin oils and produce acids that inhibit many pathogens. The non-specific immunity barrier plus. Okay, basic skin barrier, physical barrier, chemical barrier. What are chemical barrier? Like acids, tears, saliva, mucus. It's called chemical barriers. Saliva, tears, mucus, nasal secretion from nose, okay, hydrochloric acid in the stomach. The mucus, many inner face of the body. Function, it acts a protective barrier, blocking bacteria from sticking to the inner epithelial cells. Okay. The chemical barriers contain enzymes or types of enzymes called lysozyme. Okay, the lysozyme breaks down the bacterial cell walls and kills the pathogen. So the chemical barrier contain types of enzymes called lysozyme. The lysozyme break down the cell wall of bacteria and kill the pathogen. Mucus, as we said, protective barrier, blocking bacteria from sticking to the inner epithelial cells. Okay, nothing more. Okay, let's move. Here is good questions. Explain smokers are more infected with infectious disease. Why smokers are more infected with infectious disease? Because cilia lines, cilia is small hairs lines the airway, send any bacteria caught in the mucus away from the lungs, should be, okay? So this is in healthy person. What's happening in person who smoke? The smoke covers the cilia. Once it covers the cilia cannot do its work and it inhibits its work. No cilia, the pathogen can go to lungs. Okay, so the cilia, small hairs, line the airway. What function? Send bacteria caught in the mucus away from the lungs. But in case of person who smoke, the smoke covers the cilia, inhibits its work, any bacteria can go direct to the lung. So hydrochloric acid is an acid, okay, with high acidity, secreted in the stomach, kills most microbes. Okay, it's called stomach secretions. Microbes cannot survive in the stomach acid. And non-specific first line of defense, layers of the skin. The skin help protect against invasion by microorganisms. Symbiotically, bacteria on skin produce acids that inhibit many pathogens. Saliva, ears, and nasal secretions contain enzymes, lysozyme, which break down bacterial cell wall. Mucus, found in inner surface of the body, blocking bacteria from sticking to inner epithelial cells. The beating motion sends any bacteria caught in the mucus away from the lung. Cilia, the cilia, beating motion send bacteria caught in the mucus away from the lung. Stomach HCl, secreted in your stomach, kills many microorganisms found in food. Here you can find some questions about the non-specific community. The immune system protects the body against disease-causing microorganisms. The immune system has two main components: non-specific community and specific community. Of course, it's true. The first line of defense of the non-specific immunity is presented by skin, mucus, acidic secretion, all of them. So all of the above. The non-specific immunity is also called innate immunity. Okay, innate immunity. It's another name for non-specific immunity. Okay, so we can divide the immunity into innate immunity and specific immunity. Non-specific immunity and specific immunity. Non-specific immunity is not aimed at specific pathogen. It protects the body from any pathogen that's encountered. Yes, true. Many of the bacteria that live symbiotically on the skin inhibit many pathogens through ingestion, skin oils, and produce acids. What is the role of mucus in the body? Non-specific immunity, yes. Prevent bacteria from sticking the internal cells, yes. Chemical defense, yes, so all of the above. All of the above. What's true of non-specific immunity? It takes time to develop. It involves helper T cells. It is the first line of defense. Most effective immune response, of course, it's first line defense. Okay, so the non-specific immunity, first line. Okay, the specific immunity is second line of defense. Which substance kill pathogens by breaking down bacterial cell? Lysozyme. Okay, lysozyme. Now we have done. We reached the end of our lesson. Okay. Best wishes for all of you. I did formative final assessment for you to check your understanding. You can solve this assessment. I hope the best for all of you. Inshallah, the exam will be very easy for you. You can solve and get the final mark. Okay.